afternoon, everybody. I hope we all had a good weekend. Today I have some fun stuff planned for us. We're going to learn about compound meter. Has any of us ever played or know anything about compound meter?
Not really.
Well, that's okay. I see some of us shaking our heads yes, and some of us are shaking our heads no, but today we're going to learn all about it. So we know what simple meter is, right? And that is, the music that we usually play all the time, something like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. That is when the beat, which is a quarter note, is divided into two equal parts, or 2/8 notes. But today, while we're learning about compound meter, we will find out that the beat is a dotted quarter note, and that beat is divided into 3 equal parts, or 3/8 notes. An example of that might be a song like Take Me Out to the Ball Game. We all know that song. Take me out to the ball game. When we sing it, we kind of want to sway back and forth. Rather than Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, you almost want to do Twinkle, Twinkle, very, very, very forward and right in your face. So compound meter, like I had said, the beat is divided into 3 equal parts. And that beat is a dotted quarter note. We can look at it on the board here just to see it, so we can visualize it. Simple meter, quarter note, equals 2/8 notes. 2 equal beats, okay? Compound meter, that is a dotted quarter note, and that is 3 equal beats. So something we can visualize. We have a question.
Are meter and beat the same thing?
Meter and beat. Okay. No, they are not the same thing, so please do not get the two confused. Let me explain. Meter is the grouping of the beats, okay? So, like I said, in compound meter, the dotted quarter note is 3 equal beats. That is grouped into 3/8 notes, okay? Now, the beat is the pulse, okay? So, like I said, with Take Me Out to the Ball Game, we kind of want to go, take me out to the ball game. And every time I slap my hip, that's a beat, okay? But there's the little subdivision amongst each of those beats. So, we all know Take Me Out to the Ball Game. So let's all sing it, and I will talk out the subdivisions of the beats. All right, ready? I'll give us 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever look back. No, 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 no. But it's a shame. So it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, we're out in the old ball game.
So just to make things a little more clear, we're going to compare what we just sang to another familiar song that I'm sure we all know, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, which is in simple meter. And you will feel a huge difference between the feeling and the pulse of both of them. So I'll give us 4, and we'll start singing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and I will clap out the subdivided beats. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
So when it comes to the subdivision and compound meter, just a few examples maybe in 6/8 time that you might see. And of course we have our dotted quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when you're counting compound meter, I had mentioned earlier, the first mini beat is the strong beat, and the next two are the weak beats. So, it's strong, weak, weak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? So, 2 dotted quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You might see a rhythm. Quarter note, eighth note plus a dotted quarter note, that all equals 1 beat in 6/8 time. 1, 2, 3 is on the eighth note, and then 4, 5, 6 is on the dotted quarter note. Something else you might see are groupings of 3 eighth notes, which equal 1 beat in 6/8 time. 1, 2, 3, dotted quarter note, 4, 5, 6. Something that might trip you up a little bit, but it's really not too hard. Groupings of 3 eighth notes as being 1, 2, 3, but then we can also find some 16th notes in there too. You would almost want to count the 16th notes like you would count eighth notes in simple meter. So in one measure of 6/8 time, 3 eighth notes, 1, 2, 3, and then 6 16th notes actually, and you would count 4 and 5 and 6 in. Since we can count these in eighth notes, let's just let's clap this. Let's try to clap this. I will give us 6, and then we will come in. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and 6. Alright, so we just clapped out a rhythm in 6/8 time. What if I asked you to turn this into 9/8? Can you help me regroup the measures to fulfill a 9/8 time signature? Okay, so the first thing we're going to have to do is, if we're not going to be in 6/8 anymore, we totally have to make it. Because we're going to have 9 beats in a measure, and I'm going to erase the bar lines. But I need you to help me put them back in. So, we have, how many beats in this?
3.
In this dotted?
3.
3, good. Okay, so that's 3 of the 9. Where's the next one? Oh, just the next dotted quarter note, right? Okay. So, we have 6 mini beats right there, but we need 9. Where are we going to find the next 3?
After the eighth note.
Very good. Yes, after the eighth note. So that is where we are going to put our bar line, and let's count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And there are 9 beats in our 9/8 time. Okay? So we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to do it for 12/8 time. Okay? So I guess we can keep that, but we'll change this to 12, and I'm going to get rid of this bar line. So, we have dotted quarter, quarter note, eighth note. Those are 9 beats. Where's our next 3?
After the dotted quarter note.
Okay, very good. That's kind of easy, huh? So, you can actually, 6/8 compared to 12/8, 6/8 is 2 measures of 6/8 will equal 1 measure of 12/8. You can think of it like that too. It's kind of a neat little connection between the two. Okay. So with the rest of the rhythm that we have on the board, is that enough to fill a whole measure of 12/8? Let's count it together. 1,
2,
3.
3,
Okay. And then
4, 5, 6.
Okay. So there's 6 beats. Now what did I just say? That right there would equal 1 measure of 6/8 time. But if we're going to try to do 12/8, so then how many more beats do we need?
6.
Yes, good job. 6. So then where's 7? Okay, the next eighth note. 7, 8, 9. Oh no. we're running into some 16th notes down here. Please help me count this.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
No, not quite, because remember, the mini beat is what we need to count, but these are, which is an eighth note, but these are 16th notes. So that's half of an eighth note. 2 16th notes, half of an eighth note. So think of it like we're counting eighth notes in simple meter. So we're going to start at 10, and then are we going to go straight to 11, or there's going to be something in between 10 and 11, huh?
And
Yes, good job. 10 and 11 and 12 and. So look at that. That is the end of our, and we have 2 full measures of 12/8 time right there. So compound meter, it might be a little strange, but it actually has its own feeling. A lot of people, refer to compound meter as like a dance meter and everything because it is so swaying, like I mentioned in the beginning, okay? If you know that the beat is divided into 3 equal parts rather than into 2 equal parts, you are on the right track, because that is the biggest difference between the two. Besides the feeling of it, of course. And now, Dr. Strickland's going to come, and she's going to give you some more examples and maybe fill in some of the parts that I might have missed out on, and we're going to sing a little bit. So I hope I've explained it to you all right. And Dr. Strickland?
hello everybody, I am Dr. Strickland. I'm going to be giving you a little bit more application on compound meter today. So, I'm going to start off bringing over here. So, we briefly discussed 12/8 not too long ago. One of the things that I want you guys to emphasize when you're thinking about compound meter is that it has a special relationship to simple meter. And basically, the difference between the two, as said before by Dr. Angelilli, is that the subdivisions of both of these meters are different. So in 12/8, we have the subdivisions with eighth notes in them, and the big strong beats get 3/8 notes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I want you to really notice the motion that I'm doing when I'm actually counting out these measures also. So then, in 4/4, it's really straightforward. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Notice my eyebrows when I'm actually subdividing these things, because when we're thinking about compound meter, I want you to think more relaxed tempo. Not necessarily tempo, but just feel. So, we're going to do a little singing now, because I like singing. Who knows Row, Row, Row Your Boat? I mean, come on. Like, childhood favorite, right? So, let's take it over to the piano. Alright, so we're just going to sing this out. You know the words, you know the notes. Let's do it, alright? So I'll give 6 and then we'll go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Yeah. Good. So, as we were singing, did you feel the row, the rocking back and forth, over and over, that kind of stuff? So now we're going to sing it in a really boring, stoic, stale way. And this is actually going to be row, row, row your boat, row your boat, but it's going to be in 2/4 time. So it's going to sound weird, it's going to feel weird. Okay. So here's row, row, row your boat in 2/4 time. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. So it's not as boring as I was describing, but I mean, like, you can tell, like, the obvious difference. It's like, in compound meter, you're always going to be more relaxed, no matter what the tempo is or anything like that. always going to be more relaxed. Simple meter is just a completely different feel. You're more straightforward, I would say. Everything's really dictated and like that. So we're going to bring it back over to the 12/8 in comparison to 4/4. So why do you think 12/8 feels different than 4/4? No? Nobody? Okay. Well, the difference is that 12/8 is divided up into 3, which is an odd number. So it's kind of like backwards when you think, like, if you think of an odd number, you would think that the odd number is going to be more awkward, more like straightforward, but actually in music, odd numbers are the more relaxed meters. And so, like I said, 12/8 is divided up into 3 small beats for each strong beat that you have. And so when you're thinking of odd numbers as in regards to meter, you're going to be thinking more relaxed. And in the simple meter, you're going to be thinking of more even, spread out notes. Okay. Let's see. So we already looked at this piece in the compound meter, and then you saw the comparison to the simple meter. So if you're trying to describe the relationship between the compound meter and the simple meter, the similarities that you have is, as you can see, this measure is divided up into 2 strong beats. And if you look down here, this measure is also just distributed into 2 strong beats. So they're the same in the aspect that each big strong beat that you have to complete one full measure is the same. So you can say 6/8 is, in relation as far as similarities go, is almost the same as 2/4. The only thing is that your subdivisions are different. So instead of having 3/8 notes for one strong beat and 2/4, you're just going to have 2/8 notes, which is why it's called simple meter, because in simple meter, again, just to reiterate, we only have 2/8 notes subdivisions instead of 3. So I'm going to jazz it up a little bit. Now, this is not on your quiz, but I'm giving a little hint to maybe a few bonus questions. So when we have compound meter, there are special cases where you can actually combine 2 compound meters together. And so the most common example is 5/8 and 7/8. Now again, to go back to what I was talking about earlier, odd numbers are going to be a special case. They're more relaxed. They're not necessarily just like the simple meters. They're always special cases. So for this rhythm here, we have a dotted quarter note along with just a quarter note. So when you're reading music that's in 5/8, it's going to be either split up into 3 and 2 or 2 and 3. So basically, in compound meter, there is a lot to do with the emphasis on these strong beats. Row, 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 row. Like the strong beats are really important in compound meter. And so when you're dealing with something like 5/8, the strong beats that you're actually going to be leaning on and emphasizing, it's really important. And sometimes composers aren't as nice as to bracket the subdivisions so it's clear, but the main thing that you want to grasp onto is that there is 3 big beats and then there's another 2 big beats. Don't worry about that too much because, like I said, I'm just briefly introducing this to you, but later on during the semester we'll get into that more. Another example is the 7/8. So just like the 5/8 was divided up into 3 and 2, you break down 7/8. You don't just count to 7. I mean, in special cases you can, but for our purposes, we're just going to divide this up into either 4 and 3 or 3 and 4. So for this example, we have the 2 quarter notes, which is just 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have the 3 going into the next measure. And then as you can see, we have another change, which is the 3 is being emphasized, and then we have the 4 going on. And so, like I said, we're not going to be doing too much with these meters, but I wanted to introduce this to you because the subdivisions of compound meter are really, really, really important. The emphasis on strong beats and things like that. Do I have a question?
Is 7/8 and 7/4 the same thing?
7/8 and 7/4. Well, they're not exactly the same thing. Like 7/8 and 7/4 would be like, it's kind of like they're two different worlds, but not exactly. Like I was saying earlier, 6/8 to 2/4 is somewhat the same thing. So, and they're the same thing because they have the big strong beats in each to fulfill each measure. Now, if we're talking about relationships between 7/8 and 7/4, the only similarities are the top number, which is basically telling you how many beats are in each measure. So, hopefully that clarified things a little bit. Okay. Next, what are we going to do? Oh, looks like we have a question. Go ahead.
Well, Dr. Angelilli said something about how, 12/8 being a compound meter, and there's 12/8 notes that's going to take up one entire measure of that. But, so I was just wondering, is 11/8, is that a real-time signature?
Ooh, that's a juicy one.
Well, how would you count that?
Okay, alright. So, one of the reasons why I brought up these special cases, which isn't that special in all music, but for our purposes, it's very rare. If you'll notice here, in the 5/8, we have the bar divided up into 3 and 2. And I mean, that's the only thing that it can be divided up in. You wouldn't have 5/8 be divided up into 1 and 4, because you need the beats to be even. So, you have 3 and 2 here, 3 plus 2. And then, for 7/8, you usually have 4 and 3, or you can divide the 4 up into 2. And so, for 11/8, you could either divide it up into 3 3s and then a 2, but for our purposes, we're going to divide it up into 6 and 5. Because that way, you can see that the simple, not to say I don't want to use simple, but the basic compound meter that we've already used, along with 5/8, would equal 11/8. So, if you ever have something weird like that, always think in 3s and 2s. Because most likely in compound meter, again, your most commonly seen notes that you see are the dotted quarter notes, and just quarter notes or just eighth notes, because that's the basic division in which compound meter goes into. So, just to answer your question, you would divide the 11/8 into 6/8 and 5/8 and address it that way, which the smaller units and the smaller beats, the smaller big beats that you're going to divide it into is going to be the 3s and the 2s. So, hopefully I clarified that up a little bit. Okay, so, again, I want you guys to really think about the relationship between compound and simple meter. Can anybody, it looks like you read my mind. Go ahead.
Well, I think I might get it a little bit. Okay. So is 6/8 kind of like 2/4, and and then 3/4 would be 9/8?
Right, exactly. And what she's getting at is, although, like you said, 6/8 and 2/4, what's the similarity between those two? It's the big beats, it's the strong beats that we have.
Like the quarter note and the dotted quarter note?
Yeah, exactly. So, if you're in 6/8, a dotted quarter note will be the same as having just one quarter note in 2/4. And then, if you're in 9/8, that in comparison to 3/4 would be 9/8 and 3/4 both have 3 big strong beats within them. So, thanks for helping me clarify that a little bit. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. Earlier, Dr. Angelilli mentioned that when classifying meter, you have simple, duple, triple, and quadruple. So, what would you classify 12/8 to be in terms of meter? Would it be compound, simple, bin?
Compound.
Okay, and then what's the rest of it? Would it be duple, triple, or quadruple?
Trip.
No, not quite. Almost.
But
You're
why?
one
I
off.
just don't. I thought there were like 3 small beats though.
Yeah, no, not really. Well, I mean, like, in terms of subdivision, it is 3 small beats, but when we're classifying meter, we want to look at the top number, that's going to be telling us exactly how many beats are in this measure, as far as the subdivision goes. I mean, like, each beat that's in each measure. So, we have 6/8 here, so it's going to be 6 eighth notes in a measure of 6/8. And the 8 is really just telling us what the subdivision is going to be. So there are 6/8 is divided into 6/8 notes. So I ask you what would 12/8 be? It would be a compound quadruple meter. Meaning that it's compound because the subdivisions are in eighth notes, and it's quadruple because you have 4 strong beats. So hopefully that clarified a little bit of that kind of thing. Okay, so I hope that you've enjoyed the class today about compound meter. The quiz, don't freak out about it. It's going to be easy. Everything that we've covered in class today, even I gave you a little bit of hints on the special meter. So try out the bonus. Don't be afraid of it. Can anybody think of one more song that's in compound meter? Anybody? What about Green Sleeves? Yeah? Let's sing that just to lighten up the mood a little bit. Gonna give you your first pitch. Yeah. Alright, so let's just sing it on live. And this is gonna be in, can anybody guess what time signature it's gonna be in?
6/8.
Yes, exactly. Alright. So just to end the class, let's sing it all together. I'll give you 2 and we go. 1, 2, 1. La la